Well, I can dive in. I think I spend a lot of my time every day on Twitter. And honestly, it's a social network that's been really good to me. But Twitter, man, has just been changing really, really rapidly. And a lot of stuff is happening there. And what I really want to talk about is two things. One is Twitter's monetization and the changes that they've made around it and the impacts that it's had on their just sort of the behavior and how that has affected the behavior of some of their top creators. And second, I want to talk a little bit about this enterprise verified organizations feature and hiring. That is another feature that they're supposedly launching soon. So one thing that I have been seeing is a lot of posts like this one on the left from Alex Lieberman, which he basically says, my Twitter reach is fucked. Posted the same thing on X and LinkedIn, and here's what the stats are. Now at the bottom, and on the other side, there's sort of this growing trend of people saying that LinkedIn is cool now. Do you see this? Is this happening for you personally?
100% happening for me, and I 100% agree that LinkedIn, 2 months ago, everybody was talking about Threads and Facebook, but LinkedIn by a long shot has been the biggest beneficiary of all of the chaos with Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it.
I've been thinking about why are people moving? And one is just reach, but I actually think there's a slightly deeper thing happening here. And it's a lesson I learned building at Slack, which is that when you're building for people whose businesses rely on your product, there is a different bar for how you ship, how you talk about, and how the predictability that those customers expect from you when they build on top of your platform. And for a lot of reasons, Twitter has taken a lot of crap over the past decade for being really, really slow to do things. And personalities on Twitter, people who rely on it for their reach, expect things to work in predictable ways. And networks that stop being predictable stop being something that you want to invest in.
It's predictable now, but we know how this game ends, right? And every social platform ends in the same thing, which is they do something to, F over the creators.
Personally, I think because in a social network that is powered by a small percentage of people posting to drive the engagement of the 8% of people who are casually reading, throttling those folks is probably not a good idea. And I'm not sure that trying to just crank monetization out of them is the right thing. But the other thing they're doing is trying to build this product called verified organizations. So let's pull up verified organizations is $1,000 a month for a company to be able to prove that they are who they are, to be able to add affiliated accounts so that people can not just tweet as them, but be associated with them. And third, it looks like they want to launch this hiring feature. Brian, my thoughts, you're a CEO. Would you list your open roles on Twitter and would you pay $1,000 a month for that?
I think personally, $1,000 feels expensive to me right now per month. I think about the other tools that we probably pay about $12,000 per year for, and they feel much more core to driving our business. So jobs is the core of LinkedIn. It is the white hot center for them from a revenue perspective on the recruiter or job posting side. And so I think when you look at attacking competitors like that, you have to attack them in a way where you're doing something that they would never, ever do. And we had this debate while I was at HubSpot, because one of the projects I worked on was the CRM that we launched. And there's this huge debate internally about how we should launch it, but it kind of came down to, should we charge for it or should we make it free? We ultimately decided to make it free. And part of that was something that Salesforce was never going to do. They were never going to make their CRM, their bread and butter, a free product. But I look at the same thing here and I'm like, all right, well, if Twitter wants to use this as some sort of carrot or some sort of strategic item, I don't know. Like I'm like charging for it, or it is currently a product and feature that is far and above, like far and below worse than like the features elsewhere.
Cheaper but worse rarely wins. Free but worse can win.
You know, I like that. I like that as a rule. That's a good. That is a good tweet right there.
That's a good tweet.
That probably won't get distribution. So yeah.
My personal last takeaway on Twitter stuff. It's been fascinating to watch the pendulum on Twitter go from, I can't tell you what they released for a decade, like nothing about the product was meaningfully different, to changing things hourly on a whim, all kinds of stuff at the same time. And I think that as far as I can tell, Twitter usage is as high as it's ever been, at least according to the types of, maybe it's cherry picked data, et cetera, that the new CEO is talking about.
This was actually my counterpoint that I wanted to bring up as well, which is I do think the common external narrative at the moment is just a lot of criticism. It's like, oh, like this is dumb, this is dumb, this is dumb. But I think in the macro, people miss the situation that X is in, and specifically Elon is in, which is they had a stagnant product. They started to create some like huge revenue gaps that they have to start to make up in a short period of time. And you have to swing the pendulum. You have to take a bunch of swings at that. And by nature, taking a bunch of those swings means you're going to have a bunch of failures. Let us know your take. Like, what do you think we got right? What do you think we got wrong? And we're really interested in hearing that conversation and possibly revisiting some of these topics at a later date. So we hope you enjoyed the episode, and subscribe and join us for the next one. Thanks, everybody.